ClawdBot is a phenomenal technology if you understand its integration with multiple systems and how it becomes a central command for you to essentially run your entire workflow, work process, even personal processes for that matter, and literally have an employee 24/7, 365 at home on your system. So as you can see, that is me connecting my WhatsApp to ClawdBot. So now let's go here. Now I could say something like summarize this channel, extract key deliverables and WhatsApp it to the same number. We just send the joke. So now this is a whole workflow, right? This is about opening Slack, reading the history of a whole channel, using my brain, summarizing it, then opening WhatsApp, then sending it to Joey. But I have done this from a central command, one-stop shop. So imagine as more systems get connected to this, it's like, hey, go do this, do that, and then it figures out its dependencies. And how fast is that?
It was just a few seconds, yeah.
Yeah, and I can ask it to be proactive. So if I keep this on a separate computer, which I've just set up in my room separately, I've set up a computer. So if it's running there all the time, then I have a direct access to my bot via Telegram and WhatsApp, which means I am in Mumbai, but I can WhatsApp my ClawdBot. It will work on my computer, access only the stuff on my computer, and do my bidding for me. And I can set a reminder. So let's do something like this. Seconds from now, paste the same summary in the Slack channel for marketing. And just because it's new, I'm sure. So do this every minute. Price. Then stop. Now this is a one person. This is a one person setting up a cron job, and the ClawdBot is basically going to do it. So can you guys see that now it's set up a cron job on its own, and every 60 seconds it will do its own thing. Now I can make it very complex by saying every morning send a WhatsApp message, then read my Slack channel, respond to my team in my language. Please respond to all my emails to Pi. Only if something is really critical from my investor, do not reply, wait for manual intervention, and I can go for a 30-day vacation, and nobody in the company will know whether it's me or ClawdBot. So now you mull over this, I can connect it to more things. I can connect it to a dummy email, a dummy WhatsApp, a dummy Slack channel.
It's almost like the autonomous enterprise, right? Kicking in with ClawdBot.
Correct. This is the first symptom and signal of always on technology and always on agents clearly being the need of the market. This has proven that use case that we don't want to type. I want something just constantly on, capable of proactive decision making, proactive messaging, nudging within restricted guardrails. And over time, I see these guardrails will be very thick to begin with because humanity has to build trust with such a technology. But as you can see, Cursor and agents launched, they never had this option of autonomous decision. Now there is a small option on Cursor which says, what is the degree of autonomy you want to give to this agent? And if you say auto, now it stops asking you before making critical file changes. So I expect the developer world translating into personal lives of people, that they build trust, the guardrails start thinning, and eventually there is a point where, hey Alexa, is ClawdBot. That is the human relationship with this technology, that hey, it should work and it's simple and I trust it and it's part of my home. And we're
So,
getting there really.
yeah, I hear you. I think initially there will be concerns around the governance part and the guardrails part, and how do enterprises and humans actually create those mechanisms to ensure safety and security of their data. So
True. So, for example, that's a good point, Pai, that we just read through our Slack channel, and then Joey here confirmed that, she can see the message. I can see the message in our marketing channel. And I don't think there is any sensitive information here, but I won't present it as yet because we are using our live company channel. But I'm sure three of us can concur that what we are reading is actually quite well articulated and spot on. Enterprises are better off actually by realizing that the time to initiate these processes and always on agentic workflows is today. But as you rightly said, with heavy duty guardrails, which means getting the experts to do it, to have a clear advantage. Could be a research team like ours or the ones that are there, but we certainly are aspiring to be the best, are probably the best in the country and are aspiring to get onto the global stage. So it is either experts like us who can do it in that guardrail manner, have observability windows built in to say, when is it time and when is the trust reached a point that the guardrail can thin, and eventually it becomes autonomous. This is how they create a moat, because by then the agent is mature, the guardrails are watertight, systems are in place, data connectors are robust, and they just accelerate into the future. Or you can be an enterprise that says, I'll just wait for everything to be mature, but then that's like joining Facebook, a decade after everybody is on Facebook. Yes, you'll still get the same features and amenities, but you don't have a lead. So that's how I.
There is also concerns about how the agents have created their own ecosystem, Moltbook, and then they have created their own religion. They've created their own anthem of sorts. How do you see that panning out? Because it's quite interesting the way things are moving. Is that a real concern, or are people just imagining doomsday?
See, a lot of developers in the world have become creators and they know what content sells. And doom and destruction clearly sell easier than progressive, constructive thoughts and optimism. So that's my take on it. I'm an optimist. And you could have connected a ChatGPT. I remember in 2020 or 2021, I have been part of ChatGPT APIs and developer portal from day zero. And I remember in the very initial days also, as the API came out, people created the two, back then it was not responses API, it was chat API. And they made two systems continuously talk to each other. And they also were able to dive into deep introspective questions of God, religion, science. What I find interesting is that models have somehow comprehended in the world that if a dialogue goes on for long enough, it has to eventually arrive into existentialism, religion, aliens. It doesn't speak about agents. It actually speaks about the information humanity has put out as to what we consider existential thinking or philosophizing, right? The models are just emulating what they have read on the web. They really don't have a brain. So it is our brain that is being imitated. Yeah, so I'll leave it there. I think doomsday and destruction is our imagination and creation put out there, and they are just inferring and taking that line of dialogue. It goes on to say that majority of us are scrolling, tapping negativity more than positivity. I don't think there is a real danger because I believe that really bright minds are working on ensuring that these systems never have access to uh, critical infrastructure, at least till they are really mature. Power grids, nuclear facilities, thermal, uh, traffic management, aircraft traffic controllers. No?
Yeah.
So we're going to keep the critical stuff away.
So I think it's also the end of prompting, reiterative prompting, because once you give the rule engine to the ClawdBot, it will pretty much handle automate your entire workflows autonomously over a period of time, and you don't need to keep giving the prompt requirements that are there currently.
Correct. So you see, there is a lovely config file here, and there is a bunch of other technical details I don't want to get into. But it has a very interesting way of truncating its own memory and constantly saving it as a markdown file locally on my system. And then I have also asked my ClawdBot to push these set of files to GitHub. So if I was to say push recent repo changes to GitHub, and if the old connector is still alive, because I tried this over the last weekend, it pushes the code. And that code is actually sitting on GitHub. I've gone and seen it. So yeah, I think it enables, it is the initiation of interconnected systems, as you rightly said, Pai, with far lesser input and prompting, deep reasoning combined with a degree of autonomy. So interconnected systems, lesser input, deeper reasoning, and autonomy, all four are coming together. And the badge I would put on top, which I find fascinating that this use case proves, is we want always on technology, not always on screens on smartphones. I have personally never enjoyed those. Uh, uh, but always on agents in tech is certainly
Yeah.
the need of the hour. And this desire or this comfort of the user with it has been proven by ClawdBot, aka MaltBot. And by the way, as of a few days back, I had made an update that the developer has again changed the name and it's OpenClaw now.
OpenClaw, yeah.
And that's the final one. So it's OpenClaw.ai. That's the domain he had. ClawdBot, he got flagged from the company Claude. He did MaltBot, and I think he didn't find it cool enough. And then eventually they settled on OpenClaw. In fact, that's something worth looking at. I think all non-developers should also start exploring the world of GitHub. It's very simple to make an account, and it's no magic how developers like me are able to find these things. So this is the developer's personal message, your own personal AI assistant, any OS, any platform, the lobster way, right? Now, what the lobster way means is a subtle developer joke, so that you will have to skip. And this is a README file, the single README file that any GitHub repo has. This is what a techie gets to see in their first glance. So whether it's Varun Maya, whether it's famous creators sitting abroad, or whether it's an OpenAI researcher or a guy like me, it's the same repo. We all have access to the same code, the same piece of information. We can join a Discord channel. We can easily install with one command, and then obviously begins the configuration. But yes, as developers, we have a sense of comfort with this language and the way things are mentioned here, and the symbols which might throw people off are kind of part of the language that the brain has registered. So to the familiar, it's like it's served on a silver platter.
It's like an abridged version of the 10 Commandments for the new age, right?
Yeah, I think if you're going in that direction, then we have a really conscious entity capable of giving us real-time commandments based on our context. And the Lord Mighty's commandments will certainly prevail on earth, but our personal and work processes are certainly going to be led in the future by these commandments that are auto-generated. Yeah.